Hey everyone! Today we're going to be talking about the second P in the marketing mix. So we've already covered the product P, and moving on, we're going to be talking about the price P. Let me start by reminding you of the AMA's definition, the American Marketing Association's definition of marketing. Marketing is the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. And of course, where price comes in is in two important keywords: exchange and value. Now, price is what makes the exchange possible and how we assign value to our offering. Now, when I say price, immediately we think of money, right? We see dollar signs in our head. But price can be made up of so many other things. So keep that in mind. Price can include money for sure, it usually does, but it can also include goods, services, or favors in a barter situation. It can include votes if your offering is a politician or someone who is running for office or something. Anything that has value to the other party, to the marketer. And then when we talk about price, we also need to consider opportunity cost. So if, for example, I am purchasing something that requires a lot of my time, and I could be using that time to do something else and perhaps earn some money, then that is an opportunity cost that I need to take into consideration. If I go on a long vacation or go buy a product that is far away and requires a long drive, there's a high opportunity cost to that, and that also factors into the equation. We define value as the difference between customer benefits and customer costs. That's what consumers think of when they think about whether a product is a high value product or something that's not very valuable. They think of the benefits that they're getting out of it minus the costs that they had to give up. Okay, so again, like I always say, this is a broad introductory course. We will be scratching, just looking at the tip of the iceberg here. But if you want more information about anything that we've covered, just ask. Okay, so the first step of setting prices is to set your objectives. And you can have a variety of objectives. We can have profit objectives. We can just want, as marketers, to make a certain amount of minimal profits. We can have sales or market share objectives. So rather than looking at the bottom line, the profits, maybe we're looking at the top line. We need to have a certain amount of revenue or to capture a certain share of the market for various reasons, and they can include competitive advantage. Which brings us to competitive effect. Sometimes we price in such a way as to reduce the impact of our rivals' pricing changes. If they lower their price, everyone else has to follow suit. That often happens, with Walmart. If Walmart is offering a very low price, a lot of the time its competition has to follow suit or is forced to follow suit. Customer satisfaction objectives. Sometimes our primary focus is on short-term profits, and we don't really think about how satisfied our customers are going to be if we need to lower the price too much. And so we take that into consideration when we need to raise prices. And finally, image enhancement objectives. Sometimes companies do raise prices needlessly to give their products a certain prestigious appearance or prestigious appeal. And think about the ethical implications about that. It's controversial. You might have thoughts one way or another. Okay, one thing that I have to that I have to mention here, at least briefly, is price elasticity. So we're talking about price, we're talking about playing with price as if it's a very flexible thing. Some of you who have done the economics courses have probably been introduced, not probably, have surely been introduced to this concept. Our purposes here, all you need to know is that when you have price elastic demand for your product, it means that when you change the price, demand for the product is going to change. Meaning, if I raise the price, suddenly a whole lot fewer people will want to buy my product. And if I lower the price, many more people will want to buy it. It'll be more appealing to them. And that often happens with products that are not considered a need, things that are considered luxuries, maybe like, I don't know, designer ice cream. Is there such a thing? I think there is. Whereas with inelastic demand, the demand curve is such that if you change your price, you really do not get a large change in the demand. And that usually happens with products that are very much needed. Things like prescription drugs or, things like that. That's really the classic example. Okay, so when we set our prices, we look at a series of pricing strategies that I'm going to go through quickly here. And I'm also going to go through a couple of quick pricing tactics, which would be the next stage that we take into consideration. The most widely used pricing strategy is the cost plus strategy. In that strategy, I know what it cost me to produce a product, and I know that I need a certain amount of profits to make, and so I take that cost and I add a certain percentage to it to give me the profit that I need, and that's how I set my price. With target costing, I'm working backwards. I have a certain price that I know my customer is not going to buy the product for any more than that price. And I work backward to see what I need to do in terms of sourcing my materials, getting my labor costs under control, my shipping costs, whatever it takes, so that I can make the product affordable enough, make it cost me little money so that I can sell it at the price that I need to sell it for. With price leadership, I want to make sure that I am the person setting the price on the market. I want to make sure that I'm usually the lowest price on the market, and everyone else has to follow what I do. Everyday low prices is a pricing strategy whereby the marketer or the company does not do a lot of promotions. Things don't go on sale. You don't have coupons. Things are just at kind of a flat, low price, value price all year long. And Walmart has done that successfully for decades. Some other companies, JCPenney comes to mind first, tried it and didn't really work for them, did not work for their target customer. Then we have a series of pricing strategies that are specific to new products when we introduce a new product. Skimming pricing is when I've introduced a new product to the market that everyone is so excited about, and so I introduce it at a pretty high price, a little bit higher than I normally would sell it for, and I kind of take advantage of that excitement in the market, and then I can lower it later. And a lot of tech products do that. Penetration pricing is the opposite. It's when I have a new product that people are not excited about, usually because they just don't know what it is. They've never heard of that product category. And so I price it a little bit lower than I would like to because I want to penetrate the market. I want to try to attract buyers that normally would not pay any attention to me or to my product. And then once they're sold, once I've won them over, I can raise the prices. And then trial pricing is a little bit different than penetration pricing. It's when you offer someone a lower price just the first time they buy the product, just as an incentive for them to try it. And then they know that if they want to buy it again, they will have to pay a little bit more. And then we have psychological pricing strategies. So odd-even pricing is when is a psychological strategy that says that, statistically speaking, research shows that if your price ends with kind of an odd, not odd as in, it's a 3, 5, 7, or 9, but odd as in not a straight number, like not an integer or just a even number, like 784 or 398 or 199 instead of $8 or $4 or $2, people somehow think that it's a better value. Whereas even pricing, where everything ends in even figures, gives the product a more prestigious appeal. So think about a lot of professionals like doctors, lawyers, CPAs. They normally do not price using odd pricing because that sort of cheapens their services. High-end restaurants, like if you go to, think about some of the restaurants you go to in town that might be a little bit higher end, they normally, sometimes they don't even, they have just a point, like this thing costs 18 point, and they don't even put the cents because that makes it seem more prestigious. Whereas fast food restaurants, it's always something 88. It's always like 488 or 295 or whatever it is, because that shows that it's a higher value, like you're getting more for your money. Price lining is when the company offers set points, like a limited number of price points. So for example, car manufacturers do that a lot of the time. It would be very expensive to buy a fully customized car. Instead, you have different packages. So you can get a very basic, let's say Honda Civic that has only air conditioning and maybe a few safety features and power windows, and that costs something. But then if I want to add just like a backup camera, it's very hard to do that. If I want a backup camera, I need to move to the next package. And that's what price lining is. I need to then move to the next package that has a whole bunch of other features and pay that price for it. Car washes do that too. Anytime you have packages, that's called price lining. And what that does is it allows the marketer to charge the highest price that someone would be willing to pay to get the feature they want. So if I really want that backup camera, I might not want all of the other stuff in the package, but the price is just right that I would be willing to jump to the next higher package to get it. And then finally, prestige or premium pricing is when I don't really need to price my item at such a high price in terms of it being profitable, but I do so because that is just part of its appeal. In other words, the demand curve is upside down. The higher I get higher demand when my price is higher. It's appealing to a certain demographic or to a certain class of customers, maybe a psychographic, I should say, if the product is not affordable to everyone. Okay, so let's move on to pricing tactics. So once I've decided on a strategy, whatever it may be, I can also use within any of these strategies some of these tactics. Two-part pricing is when you're required to pay twice to get whatever you need. And this is very common with services, something like club memberships. You pay the annual fee, but then you need to pay again every time you're going to play tennis. Top Golf, if you want to make a reservation, it uses a form of two-part pricing. You need to pay to make the reservation, but then you also need to pay to play. Captive pricing is a little bit different. Captive pricing is when you buy something, the marketer sells you something, but then in order to keep using it, you have to buy other stuff from them repeatedly. So classic example is the shaving cartridges. So if you buy a certain shaver, you have to keep buying the same cartridges for it. Or ink and the ink cartridges or the toner. If you buy a printer, you have to keep buying the ink toner or the ink cartridges from the same manufacturer. And then finally, price bundling. Price bundling is just simply when you can buy several things together and it's cheaper to do it that way than buying them separately. And again, that's not exactly the same as price lining. That's when the marketer is giving us several less related things. So they're not all part of one product. So maybe you can buy the drink and the fries and the sandwich, and it costs less than buying each one separately. That would be an example of price bundling. Okay. Very, very important part of pricing, legal and ethical considerations. And they vary from state to state, but I urge you, whatever state you're in, to think about whether something is ethical, even if it is legal. Now, bait and switch is illegal in every state. Bait and switch is when we advertise a very low-priced item to lure customers into the store. That's the bait. And then when they arrive, they find that the product is out of stock and, surprise, we're ready to offer them a more expensive item. So we advertise that insanely low TV or computer. Customer comes in, we tell them, oh my gosh, sorry, we just ran out. But look, here's an even better one, but it's twice the price. And so often when companies advertise something that is extremely low price, they have to have a note in there that says that they will accept rain checks or something of the sort. Price gouging, of course, is a huge issue that we're going through right now with things like hand sanitizer and toilet paper. And surprisingly, it's not illegal in every state, but it's illegal in most states, including Alabama. And price gouging is when you increase the price to unreasonable levels. And usually it happens when we have some kind of emergency, like COVID-19 or a hurricane or something. And there's no set definition for what that unreasonable price is. If you talk to whoever is responsible for implementing these rules, they will just tell you, you know it when you see it. If you see a pocket-sized hand sanitizer selling for $45, you know that that's price gouging, and that's illegal in most states, but not all states. Comes with a lot of fines and things of that nature. And then finally, loss leader pricing is actually legal in most states, but some states have kind of unfair sales acts forbidding it in a sort of vague way. So loss leader is when you have certain products priced at a very low level to get customers to come into your store, and then you make up that loss on the product. You're selling them below cost because you hope that the customer will buy other products. So for example, Publix does all of these buy one, get one frees, or these huge offers on a bunch of stuff every week. And I believe that they're losing money on some of these things, but they're making it up because the customers are coming in and buying a lot of other unrelated products while they're there. Okay, that's it. I'll see you on the discussion forum. We will be doing several different activities related to pricing, and see you there.